want to kill Trump and why?
So it's very possible, of course, that Zelensky could have been involved in the assassination attempt. Trump is a huge problem for Zelensky. Ukrainian proxy war is a very politically split issue in the United States.
What do you feel Russia-Ukraine border would look like if Trump comes to power?
Zelensky has effectively everything to lose if Trump wins. There has been several attempts to kill Putin.
Ukrainians are capable of something like this?
The Russians and Ukrainians are extremely close. So if the Americans would want to assassinate Putin, they would most certainly do it through the Ukrainians.
Who do you feel would be the most troubled by Trump's possible second term?
Trump is frequently referred to as the new Hitler. Why wouldn't they want to kill the new Hitler?
Was there a Ukrainian link in Trump's assassination bid? Ukrainian opposition politician Viktor Medvedchuk reportedly sent a letter to Donald Trump suggesting so. Medvedchuk suggested that Trump's repeated calls for peace in Ukraine and his calls for ending the wars made him a target and an enemy of Zelensky, saying that peace means the loss of power for Zelensky's Nazi regime and its American sponsors from the Biden administration, quote unquote. It's not just the Ukrainians though. Reports suggest that the Iranians had also plotted to assassinate Trump to avenge Qassem Suleimani's death back in 2020. Now, who all want to kill Trump and why? To discuss this further, we're being joined by Dr. Diesen, Professor of International Relations at the University of Southeastern Norway and an editor at the Russia in Global Affairs journal. Dr. Diesen, always a pleasure speaking with you. I wanted to understand this. Welcome to Game Plan. Ukrainian opposition politician Medvedchuk reportedly sent this letter to Trump, and that Trump's repeated calls for solving that Russia-Ukraine war, they're antagonizing the Ukrainian leadership. And that a Ukrainian link in the assassination attempt is there. Now, do you feel that creates a problem for Ukraine? Is Trump a problem for Zelensky?
Well, Shivan, I think definitely Trump is a huge problem for Zelensky because the Ukrainian proxy war is a very politically split issue in the United States. So while Biden and his team is quite interested in pursuing another forever war, Trump and his supporters, they recognize that the war was not only provoked by the US, but that the war has also been lost. So what they're signaling is that they want to cut their losses and put an end to this war. So Zelensky has effectively everything to lose if Trump wins. So it's very possible, of course, that Zelensky could have been involved in the assassination attempt. However, I would say I find it unlikely, given that they don't have so much clout there. And furthermore, it has to be pointed out that Medvedchuk as well, he's not an objective anyone. He was the opposition leader, the main opposition leader in Ukraine. So when Zelensky purged the political opposition and the media, he actually had Medvedchuk arrested and stripped him of his citizenship. So there could be some quarrel between the two. But yeah, definitely. Zelensky has a lot to lose from Trump losing, of course.
The Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, said that Ukraine's military intelligence service, Kirill Budanov, had recently prepared an assassination attempt on Russian President Vladimir Putin's life, done with US money. Do you feel the Ukrainians are capable of something like this?
Well, Budanov, the Ukrainian spy chief, he has confirmed that there has been several attempts to kill Putin, but he argued they have all been unsuccessful, obviously. So has it been done with US money? I would say that US money is keeping Ukraine afloat, and the US systematically took control over Ukraine's security services since the coup in 2014. So this seems very likely. Now, in terms of whether the Ukrainians are capable, I would say they're very capable. The Russians and Ukrainians are extremely close, which with much sympathy is going both ways. This results in security breaches on both sides. And I think this is a problem, not just for the Russians, but also it's been proven to be a huge problem for the Ukrainians. So indeed, there was a New York Times article about how the US Ukrainian intelligence agencies began to cooperate from the first day after the US-backed coup in 2014. And what's interesting with this article, it specifies exactly because this closeness between Ukrainians and Russians, the Ukrainian intelligence agencies would be an ideal partner or a proxy for the Americans to infiltrate and undermine Russia. So again, this is what started the war. So if the Americans would want to assassinate Putin, they would most certainly do it through the Ukrainians.
Glenn, the true motive behind the assassination attempt on Trump has still not been revealed. Do you feel it could be an inside job?
Well, It's possible, but again, I would base that on speculations. However, as the US is very polarized, political realities are to a large extent also shaped by speculations. So the mistakes made by the Secret Service was so extreme, and the explanations for these mistakes, they were so absurd. So this suggests either incompetence or it was deliberate. Now, both political parties obviously accuse the other of being an existential threat to their country. And, Trump is frequently referred to as the new Hitler that must be stopped at all costs. So if they're genuine with these statements, well, why wouldn't they want to kill the new Hitler? And Biden even referred to putting a bullseye on Trump. So this hateful rhetoric, it feeds or gives good reasons at least for these speculations. So in this political climate, I would say that speculations are indeed what shapes the entire political landscape.
US media also reported that Iran was plotting to kill Trump as well. A recent report suggests that there may be more assassination attempts against Trump in the coming weeks, giving reference to senior US officials. Who do you feel would be the most troubled by Trump's possible second term?
Well, it's possible that they would like to have a revenge, but it seems like a strange target. It also seems unlikely simply because, unlike Ukraine, the issue of Iran, there's a very strong bipartisan support for the anti-Iranian hysteria in the United States. So I don't think it really matters that much who sits on the throne in Washington in terms of the policies towards Iran. So it would have to be motivated solely by revenge. Now, the allegation of Iran plotting to kill Trump also emerged immediately after the actual assassination attempt, which suggests that it could be a mere distraction. Of course, it could be real as well, but everyone is calling for unity now, and an external threat tends to be quite unifying. So, but I would say that the painful reality in the United States is that this is an American problem. It's internal polarization, hateful rhetoric, and continued decline of democracy and rise of an oligarchy. So I think looking to Iran can be useful, but it's also a very dangerous distraction.
There is some speculation at the moment, but of course, things seem to be shaping up the way one had assumed until a few weeks ago. And things have become more solid in terms of speculation in the last few days, given what has transpired in the US. With Trump seeming to be the next president now, there is going to be a major impact on the ongoing wars, and that will impact geopolitics all over the world. That was our discussion. Of course, Glenn, thank you so much for joining in. That was Dr. Glenn Diesen joining us from Oslo. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for making time and joining me here on Game Plan.
Thank you, Shivan.